Hey, what's up? It has been a while. Also, I am wearing clothes. It's just very hot. In fact, leave a like for me shutting my window to record this. So I'm gonna get right into this before I distract myself because that happens. Today's video is about contouring. What it is, why it is, etc, etc. This is probably the most requested video that I've had from people. If you know what contouring is, be polite because not everyone does. And as I said, I've had quite a few people ask me to do a video on it, explain it a bit, and so that's what I'm going to do. This is how I take notes. I have some notes in front of me and I will be referring, as in possibly just reading straight off it because memories. I think a lot of confusion with the contouring is the word itself. And when I was thinking of how to translate it, the only thing I came up with was the contours of the landscape. That wasn't that much help. Basically with contouring, it's shading. And I know in East Asia, they say shading as a loan word instead of contouring. And why don't we? That makes so much more sense. So where did it come from? Because obviously it's not just 2015 when the Kardashians decided to make it mainstream. No, it's been around for a long time, a very long time. In fact, quick maths, is it 500? Since the 16th century. I can't do mental maths. Is that 500 years? Anyway, but heckin' wild. So a lot of things nowadays in terms of what's popular in makeup, it's something that has come from stage makeup. And back in the 16th century, it was used so people can see the actors' faces. And that is still used today in theatres. Drag shows, drag is an incredible example of shading and performing and, how this makeup is put into place. But again, we had the Kardashians bringing that into Instagram and everything like that. Then we got the Instaglam and varying different things, and then also Drag Race. There's a lot of influence from varying different things. In fact, as well, as we come into the 20th century, it was used in the 20s and 30s in Hollywood, and then 1945 Max Factor commercialised it with a contouring tutorial at his makeup school. I'll put the website of where I've got the info from. So yeah, it's old shit basically. Even in paintings, of course they were doing it because highlights and shadows. Highlights and shadows. It's just light. It's literally just freaking light. So other than stage makeup, to be seen from far away, why else do we do it? To define the bone structure. And again, it's a light trick. So if I turn out one of my lights right now, take out this one. Now we've got directional lighting, we can see that this side is in shadow. Except, there's a highlight there. There's highlights. You can see where the shade is falling in terms of my skull. And as I move my head around, oh wow, what's that? Look at that. Is that something we're gonna fake with makeup later? I wonder. Talking of skulls, Halloween kind of makeup, because as I said, we are defining the bone structure. We are defining the skull. And I had a client once and I did use this kind of analogy of it, as in oh yeah, when you paint a skull at Halloween. She hadn't, and it didn't occur to me that people aren't into spooky season as much as what I and my family are, and might not have even ever face painted a skull. So L for me there. Forgot to put in the intro section that I was going to tell you a couple of tips and stuff for doing it on your own face. Oh well, said it now. So, as it is a lighting trick, pretty much, one of the ways that we are going to find out how to contour our face is by using actual lights. So you want to have absolutely no makeup on your face and get a mirror. Make sure it's on a good mental health day. There's hair falling out, it's tickling me and I hate it. You're going to get a mirror and you're going to look directly at it. In my case, it's the camera. Yeah, look in a mirror, look at your face and see where your bones are. Everyone has natural asymmetry, so this is also why I'm saying make sure it's a good mental health day, because I know some people, they can have a lot of insecurities. They're not as like into their face as what I am. The first step is literally just look in a mirror in normal lighting and see where your bone structure is. Then you are gonna touch your face and feel where the bones are. So on me, this is squish. This is my teeth under here. Whereas that is the bone. So I know, oh, okay, I need to be like contouring around there. And I also know for a fact that my right side is slightly lower than my left. My right eyebrow is lower. And if I go like that, it kind of evens it out to the left side. So yeah, you're gonna have natural asymmetry, and that's fine. It's so normal. It's so completely normal. But yeah, you're gonna feel your face. You're gonna find out where your teeth are. You're gonna find out where your jaw is. Your nose should be quite simple. I hope so, at least. And also up here, temples. There's indentations here, and then it goes up. People will have varying brow bones as they will, you know, cheekbones and everything. And yeah, I have a 5 head. There's also that. So after you've looked at your face, you've felt your face, you've got acquainted. You know what's going on under the flesh. Then you're gonna get funny with some lights, and I'm gonna turn my lights off and get my phone, because you can do this easy with, like, you know, a bathroom mirror. Get your torch. What you're going to do with your torch is you're going to move it around your face, and again, see where the highlights and the shadows fall. Because even though you felt your face, it is different with how the light is. So if we go like up here, like this is a pretty good place to see, like, you know, we've got shadows here from the brow bone, we can see the temple, we can see where the cheek is, and then into the jaw. So like all of this, that's in shadow. I could completely take that out with makeup. But then as we bring it lower, we can kind of see where the actual face shape kind of is. So as you can see, I don't really have much of a prominent jaw, as in terms of that kind of thing. It's quite V. I've swapped hands because my arm ached. So yeah, also as we're going around looking at all the shadows, we can notice where are the highlights, you know, where are the places that really like stand out. So we have here, 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 on the chin as well. So you get the idea, and I think that those couple of ways, looking, touching, and using light, you can then know how to contour your own face. And it's not just like me kind of going, oh, tips and tricks, and just showing you on me. Like, I've shown you, alright, on me, how to find what I need to do on me. You know what I mean? So for demonstration purposes, I'm going to do a very heavy contour, just so you can really see where stuff is going, because I don't really over contour in my videos anyway. It's like, it's a little bit, it's quite natural, and I do have a product that I got recently that I am absolutely hyped about, so I'm going to have to make an entirely different video on that anyway. But for this, it's going to be so much easier to see what I'm talking about if I go for extremes. So I'm going to be using this shade of foundation, which you can probably tell, that's not my skin tone. I've got a very bright highlighter in comparison, and then I'm going to be using a teeny amount of this shade of foundation for all of the actual shading. So I'm going to get the base on and I will get back to you. It really brings out my eyes. Can you imagine if I fake tanned? This ain't it. So the reason that I have taken the mid-tone darker is because I am so pale that the highlight wouldn't really be popping to the extent that I want to demonstrate, especially since I'm going to be doing this side of my face in a more masculine contouring highlight shape, and this side feminine. The reason for me doing this as well is to just like further demonstrate the point of, by using colours and lighting and all that kind of stuff, you really can change the shape of your face without actually physically changing the shape of your face. And also it's just fun. So I'm gonna do the femme side first. And I'm gonna not drop things on the floor. Picking it up with my toes. Okay, so like I said, I'm using a very, very dark foundation, and I'm only using a teeny tiny bit because don't need much. So I'm gonna go in with my brush, dab it about a bit, and then start blending it on my face. So as we can see, we do have a little bit of a shadow going on here. So I'm gonna start putting that in. Where's my sponge? Right, so I purposefully have used different tools for these things because I am gonna have to blend back over this. And there's actually way more on the brush than I expected, so I am gonna start with going up here as well. Okay, that's starting to blend out better. So there we go. We've got a harsh shadow going on. Already you can see that I have enhanced and defined those natural shadows. So I did do this on my master's degree, as it was about exploring identity and stuff like that, and I found that I do actually have very, very feminine bone structure. So just kind of like enhancing the jaw, hiding the chins. Because again, if you want to hide things, like perhaps a double chin, get some crazy contour game on. I'm also doing this purely like in the camera thing, so I need to check this in a second, the mirror. But with like feminine shapes, you want to keep it more rounded. You'll see on the side I'm going to do more mask. I'm going to go for very angular things. Buffing it, keeping it. And also with my 5 head, first of all, this is where you would get a natural tan, and that's also where bronzing can get confusing because, like, okay, these are pretty warm colours, but contour shades is typically a cool tone because it's a shadow, whereas bronzer is meant to emulate tan. So people, if you can tan, you would get a warmer skin tone. Like, it's hard to believe, but I actually do currently have a very, very minor tan, and it just makes me slightly more golden. So I'm putting it up here. Again, I'm keeping it round because this is gonna take down the size of my forehead. Yeah, there we go. That's so far. So for my nose, you can see quite clearly where the shadows are falling. I now have a mirror in my hand, so gonna go kind of onto the nose. We're not just keeping it to the side, but we are going like onto the bridge of the nose as well. I have these bumps here from wearing glasses. It's like permanently in my bone structure, so that is one thing that I do have to be careful of. But yeah, that dark patch there, glasses. And then I'm gonna go into the eye socket as well. Now, one of my favorite like positions, I guess, of eyeshadow is actually working with the natural shadows, which is like here and here. And I think it looks pretty incredible because it's where the shadow naturally falls on the face. So you see already how this is, it's a lot more sculpted. It's my face, but it's sculpted, it's enhanced, and I haven't even used the highlighter yet. This is just mid-tone and shadow. So I just added a little bit under the eye and under the lip as well. I mean, it's going to be a bit difficult with the two sides of Masque and Femme when it gets to the top lip, but hopefully it'll work out fine. Now I'm going to go into highlighter, and this is very, very pale. Come on, come out. We've got some pale stuff. I'm going to just use a fluffy brush for this. This product does dry pretty quick as well, so I'm going to have to speed through. So, highlight, you can quite blatantly see here. Again, highlight would be kind of around all this section. You see? Yeah. We're getting it, yeah. I am also going to put it under the eye, because that is a naturally like sunken in bit, but most of the time we don't want that. And this is where those huge triangles come from. I'm also going to put it down the side of the nose here, because, you know, to keep in line with certain beauty standards, a skinny nose is what is preferred on women, or at least some beauty standards at least. I personally don't really care for it. So I am obviously moving backward and forward between my tools of different colours. I'm gonna add a little bit more highlight here, just to make that really stand out. So we've kind of reached a bit of a weird one here, as in I need to add some more mid-tone. Blend those a bit better together on the actual cheek. But yeah, you see how it's coming together, right? So on the nose, right down. This is difficult. Hang on. Boom, nailed it. And I guess on the femme side you would kind of have this a little bit brighter. I've also seen people adding a bit along the jawline as well. Yeah, make it a little more prominent. That was probably too much. Might have messed up a bit, but we'll move. It's a bit of a harsh line, but to be honest, I am trying to do it harsh to really show things. Again, we all know about brow highlights, so have it on the brow. So hopefully you are seeing a rather sculpted face. And that's going with my natural feminine bones. So, now for the mask side. So I'm going to start again with the shadow, but this time we're going to do different shape. So I went with my natural shadow here, but on this side, we're going to go with it, but here we're going to add some. We're keeping it kind of a lot straighter, a lot more angular. If you think of, say, like comic books, for example, or JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 3 in particular, there is a lot of straight lines going on. Already, you can see that has changed my face. I don't have a very prominent jaw, so we're going to fake that as well. So I'm going to go along here, and then I'm going to try and really kind of square off the jawline. So we're really trying to like fake it till we make it. Get that mask jawline going on as best I can. Also, at the front of my chin, it's kind of typical for dudes to say like have it's a bit more straighter and then it'll angle. I'm a little chubby at the minute, but my bones is just kind of like it's like a V. Got a pointy chin when you can actually see it, and also kind of go up here. So you can see that these shadows are naturally falling on my face anyway. But for this side, we're just really enhancing that, because that isn't really seen as, say, like a beauty standard for women, or at least, you know, in the West. So the forehead, we're gonna literally just go like a straight line again, straight as possible. Maybe I did it too straight on the other side, but anyway, we're gonna go to like here, and then kind of square it off. Is that looking more square? And then into this part here as well. Because we're trying to make the brow bone heavier, because that is seen as more of a masculine trait, a much heavier brow bone, and that's also why I've used my more hooded eye as the mask side, because it's very I'm going to put some videos in the description about like facial aesthetics and attractiveness and stuff like that, because yeah, clearly I can't explain stuff, but yeah, I'm just keeping it shaded here. And then I need my little brush. Where's it gone? I'm just using an angle brush. And we're gonna go kind of heavier in here, but also in the eyebrow part as well. Now for the nose, I've kind of gone a little bit over at the top of it, but instead of kind of going on the bridge, we're going to go at the side. My nose looks a little wonky now, but imagine I'd like, you know, done either of these on both sides and you'll kind of get what I mean. In fact, I might just like take a picture and flip it. But yeah, we're going for a much wider nose bridge and a lot deeper in the eye socket. Put a little bit of shade in there as well. We're actually gonna shade it in instead of, you know, putting highlight on it to make it not look as though we've got baggy under eyes or whatever. It's just more definition of the sockets. That might be a bit too much actually. Whoops. Anyway. And then the mustache kind of area. And a much deeper fill trim. Now that's where it'll throw the balance of the other side off, but how can you only shade half a fill trim? It's such a tiny area. Okay, so now I'm gonna highlight the areas as well. So, you know, we're still highlighting the cheekbones. That's just a given on anyone. I'm gonna add more to my jaw. Again, I'm just trying to accentuate the jawline that I don't have. So again, we want to make a much more prominent brow. So highlighting here and going on there. I'm going to add a little bit on the brow bone, but not to the extent of what this side is. And I'm going to do my eyebrows accordingly as well, because that will also help with the structural changes. Again, with the fill trim, it's just so tiny. And also make the chin a bit more prominent. Right, so I think that's as much in terms of contouring and highlighting that I can do before adding other things, as in like altering the eyebrows, the lip shape, stuff like that. But hopefully you can see that, you know, contouring and highlighting, how it can affect the shape of your face. So again, this kind of intensity would be great for a performance, because, you know, you can very blatantly see the highlight, the shadow, the mid-tone going on. Like you could tell from far away what my face is, what it's like, all that kind of shebang. If you were doing regular, like everyday makeup, it's usually a much lesser version of this. Again, personal preferences and style and all that kind of stuff comes in, but for the most part this would be a lot less intense, and obviously I would use a foundation that is actually my skin tone and not orange. So you can probably tell I've done a little more. Things of note on the more femme side: blush. So with your contour and your highlight, your mid-tone then would be whatever blush you want to put on, and that would sit in between the two. I've also added a powder highlighter in, you know, here, around here, on the eye, that kind of thing, and some lippy of the colour that I had to hand. So it is still kind of natural, but you can tell it's girly. This, however, so I've added a... Beards take so long to just put on. So it's more like a 5 o'clock shadow, but yeah, we got a bit more of a beardy thing, a much thicker eyebrow. It's more into the middle as well. Actually, let's take my hair out as well. My recent blue black hair will come out. So this isn't too crazy, but it's still, oh wow, that's really different. So from knowing these techniques, you can then take it further, as in if you want to have a drag act, if you want to do cosplay, Halloween makeup, all these sorts of things. Shading, mid-tone, highlight. It's a really key kind of basic art component, and it really applies to makeup as well. Especially how also just lights change your face and such, but also colours. I've used, you know, more skin tone kind of colours. They are on the warm side, but you could do it with example green. You have your entire face green, you could highlight with yellow, you could shade with blue, because those are the two colours that make green. And if you add yellow, you can make it a little lighter, a little warmer. If you add blue, you can make it a little darker, a little colder as well. And then obviously white and black accordingly. But yeah, it's just, you can take these techniques and apply it to whatever heckin' colour that you want. In fact, I will do one at some point, because I've dug out the wig that I want to do it with. So there's going to be something quite purple happening at some point. So yeah, that was today's video, contouring, and what you can do with it, what it is, why it is. Well, I hope I've at least answered some questions, and this has been informative and interesting, to say the least. Leave me a like and a comment, letting me know if you liked it and stuff. I'm never gonna get good at outros, and I've just accepted that at this point. So, do you. Bye.